Is Caitlin Clark done for the season? That's the question nobody wants to say out loud, but the timeline is pushing us there. 1 month out, and every update has been a curveball. One day she's listed as day-to-day. Then suddenly, it's out indefinitely. A mid-August return window pops up in graphics and chatter. Game time decision appears on the screen. And then coach Stephanie White says she hasn't even been practicing. If you feel like you're getting whiplash from the reporting, you're not alone. A beat reporter, Scott Agnes, tells fans to have patience. Several more weeks. Do the math, and that drags you to the edge of the regular season. And if that's the window, we have to ask the hard question. Is pushing back in at peak league intensity actually smart for Caitlin? Or is shutting it down the wiser move? The weird part isn't just the injury. Soft tissue injuries happen. What's bizarre is the messaging. Day-to-day suggests a tweak. Indefinite says, we're backing off and reassessing. A circled date raises expectations. Game time decision sounds like, she's close. Coach saying no practice slams the brakes. Those aren't small contradictions. They're totally different stages on the recovery ladder. Most players don't go from no full practices straight into a live game, especially when every opponent in late August is playing playoff caliber basketball. Game speed is a different animal. Decision trees are faster, contacts are harder, and adrenaline spikes make you test limits you wouldn't in a controlled drill. That's exactly how setbacks happen. So what do the insiders actually know? Scott Agnes, who practically lives inside the fever beat, told a commenter to be patient. Several more weeks. That's not some random rumor. That's a reporter who understands how fragmentary these updates can be, hinting that the runway is longer than the day-to-day chatter makes it seem. Pair that with Stephanie White explaining that Clark hasn't been practicing, and the picture gets clearer. If she's not stacking full competitive practices, there's no safe way to flip switch into games. And that's before you consider the Fever's schedule density, scouting adjustments, and the way defenses treat Clark as a magnet for pressure. If your mental image is her jumping from bike work and limited drills to 30 high-intensity minutes, stop. That's not a plan. That's a dare. Let's talk body logic. Clark's season has been a game of connect the dots with soft tissue injuries. Quad, opposite quad, groin. On paper, they look separate. In reality, they're chapters of the same story. When one muscle group is compromised, you compensate. A few days later, the workload shifts somewhere else, and something new yells for help. That's the cascade. The only solution is boring. Time, targeted strength work, mobility, gradual load ramp, then live reps. A standard return-to-play arc is not a mystery. You start with pain-free movement, build strength symmetry, reintroduce change of direction, then contact and short bursts of scrimmage. After that, you bank a week of full practice, hit a minute's restriction in games, and scale up if there's no swelling, no flags, no setbacks. Skip a step, and the body collects receipts. Meanwhile, the league calendar is doing her zero favors. Everyone's gearing up for the postseason. Opponents have weeks of film charting her tendencies. They're going to top lock her, bump her early in actions, and turn every handoff into a wrestling match. That's normal playoff prep, but for a player returning from a groin flare-up, that's a stress test. Add the weight of expectations. Sold-out buildings, national attention. Is she back? And you get the most loaded 20 minutes of basketball a player can experience. You don't want her first taste of game speed to be inside that blender. Now the Fever piece. Indiana's identity has swung all year depending on whether Clark is on the floor. With her, the pace spikes, the spacing stretches, and the ball flies through windows most guards won't attempt. Without her, the team has tried to build a steadier, more half-court rhythm, especially with hardship players stepping in. That's not a negative, it's just different. When Clark leaves the lineup, the group takes time to find a new heartbeat. When she returns, they take time again to sync to her tempo. This isn't a chemistry problem, so much as an operating system switch. But late in a season, against opponents who have already locked their software, rapid toggling is brutal. Reintegration is not just about her health, it's about timing, trust, and the split-second assumptions that make an offense hum. There's also the coaching philosophy conversation that fans can't stop circling. In her sit-down with Sue Bird, Clark talked through turnovers, time and score, and being yanked after a cluster of miscues, then passing up a signature transition dart she usually rips. That's the tension on display. A coach trying to teach decision discipline in high-leverage spots, and a star whose superpower is seeing a line nobody else sees and threading it at full tilt. Both things can be true. You don't want 10 turnovers in a playoff game. You also don't want to sand down the very edges that make her terrifying to guard. Think of it like a dimmer, not a switch. It's the difference between "don't do that" and "choose the 2 times out of 10" when it breaks the game. The fear among fans is that if you overcorrect, you'll neuter the chaos that pulls help to the nail, opens the corner, and wakes up a building. The trick is coaching the when, not stripping the what. 2 roads sit in front of Indiana, and neither is simple. The return now path only works with a real ramp. That means multiple full contact practices back-to-back, not just one. Monitored workloads where she finishes practice feeling better than she started. Live scrimmage sequences where she takes bumps off ball and still gets to her spots. Movement quality checks the morning after. Then minutes limits that start small and expand with clean outputs. You also make lineup choices that protect her. More screening partners who can rescreen, more ghost actions to keep her out of straight-up wrestling matches, and more early offense so the first-run reads are clean. You bait the defense into overhelping, not into trench warfare. If any of that is off, or if the timeline squeezes that ramp to a handful of days, it isn't a ramp, it's a wish. The other road is the shutdown. It sounds harsh. It also might be the grown-up move if they're not true contenders. Hit pause. Let the body reset fully. Use the end of the season for system work around the edges. Screen angles, second side options, roll clarity, so that when Clark returns, the machine is ready to run at her speed. This approach is not waving a white flag. It's choosing to win the next 12 months instead of the next 12 days. It preserves the brand you're building, protects the league's most valuable storyline from avoidable setbacks, and spares the team from trying to bolt a turbocharger onto an engine mid-race. If you're going to bet big on your star, bet big on her long game. Let's zoom out for a second. The Caitlin Clark effect is real. Ratings, tickets, interest, the whole orbit. That's exactly why this decision can't be made on vibes. Rush a return and risk another soft tissue ping? You jeopardize the product and the player. Pace the return and fans wait longer? You protect both. There's a reason elite programs build buffers into timelines. Because the performance you want isn't back on the court, it's back at full threat. And full threat requires confidence, not hope, not crossed fingers. Confidence from reps that stack day after day without a flare-up. Confidence from a coach who can say, "We gave her a week of full-speed practice, and she crushed it." Confidence from teammates who feel the timing click in real time. Here's the answer I land on. If several more weeks is the internal whisper, the only responsible return is one built on a runway of real practices and a strict minutes plan. No runway, no return. With the Fever's rhythm still jittery and the league about to redline, this is not the stage to experiment with a superstar's groin. Shut it down unless the boxes are checked, every single one. That doesn't drain the excitement, it raises the ceiling. It sets up a version of Clark who can play faster, freer, and with the full green light, because the body is ready and the system around her has been tightened to fit her. So is Caitlin Clark done for the season? If the only way back requires skipping steps, she should be. If she gets the progression, the practices, and the signs that say go, then go, but on a schedule that belongs to her, not to any broadcast graphic. The Fever have to decide whether they want the quick fix or the right fix. Fans will watch either way. The question is, when she steps back into those sold-out arenas, do you want a version of Caitlin who's testing limits, or the one who can shatter them? Your move, Indiana.